Well, come on here this moment, have a little thing to share, and I say that there's going to be a little extra work to come along to go into this, and I say that we kind of had to look for this little knitting needle, but what we have right now is the chance to turn this possum out, which is one little thing we do with something before we stuff it. And there's little demonstrations I'm going to show as to how that gets done, and just little work to show along as far as how it's going to come and how we're going to make things just work for ourselves and work for the good and work for others, and finally come down to where we see a little work come into this. And I say that we're just going to kind of put a little bit through the hole and make the tail come out like so. And then I say, and it's a good thing that these days we make bigger tails in the pattern, because I tell you that's kind of like how it was when I first started making possums. The tails would be so skinny, and the little paws and hands and arms and legs would be so skinny that it would be so hard to kind of, just get things all the way through sometimes. And just kind of when it comes down to the little work we do in it, just kind of work our way through it. And I say just put a little time and effort into little things we make. And I say just put a little go through. I say I turned the tail out just fine there, and tell you this is just one of the few times it's not so much of a struggle to do, because lots of times it is, lots of times it can be, just depending on what we're doing, how we're doing it, how we're working it. So just a little time in, little life, and little work, and just a way to kind of make so we kind of put the little time of little, you know, knitting needle through the fabric and get things a little bit more turned out like they ought to be. I tell y'all, it's just the way how ministry works sometimes, and it's sacrifice. And I tell you one thing for sure, I'm just one of those people who's kind of called through my craft and work to be a little demonstrator of God's creation. And it's kind of like I couldn't preach a sermon to you, but I could sure do it through my arts and my crafts and all my wood and fabric and things. Just showing you all the things that God made. And surely enough, I'm sure that on the days of creation, we had some of these creatures right here with us. They were right there in the Garden of Eden. So I got the two legs turned out now. Here's a way where we're going to do the two upper front paws and get them a little turned out to make it so it's going to be a little bit more work. I do want to mention to you, I forgot to mention the fact that what I do when I make these possums is I use some of the same little stained and faded denim that I use for the pigs. Possums are often considered a dirty kind of critter, just like pigs are, so that's kind of where the little work comes along that we put into things when we make these things, and how we just kind of put the little effort along in and kind of make it so we're seeing just a little way how good little things can turn out. And I say that just the time and effort it takes, I say we probably got enough done out here that we can probably make the rest of that leg the rest of the way go right through like it's supposed to be. And I say, just get it all a little bit better turned out here and come down to where we get the work in. Kind of make it so we put a little more effort into the front two paws and get it all to come out just fine, and make it so the work gets a little bit good for the rest of the way we take it. I tell y'all that we got the two spools of thread right here, and then we're going to turn out the nose here, and it might turn out a little bit like the pig, because I tell you, you know, the pig kind of came out with the head a little bit bigger than the paws, and kind of come to where we see that, and we still got a little work to do up at the top of the head to turn it out a little bit, wring it out. I say two good little ears on this possum, and as for how we do, I say that this is where we kind of got the face in, got the little paws out to make it so it's going to be just the thing it comes to be when we all get done with all we do. And I say that, oh, a little work can just be brighter in us. I know that this is a moment where we got this little string of thread out and kinda can take it and kinda let's see what it does, if it's even going to come off. But that's what we got here. I think we got a little place where we can put a little stuffing up into the top of the head, make it so it's going to be a little stronger and sturdier. Maybe start out putting it in the nose and kind of get it where, you know, it gets really hard to put the stuffing around the eye if you put the eye in first. So kind of got the little work we do there, place where we kind of work in a little time to stuff the little monster in and get a little work done into the thing. And I say just work along, put a little stitch right in to make the eyes right at about the center of the forehead, and put a little work and motion into that little piece, and finally come down to where we're going to make the little line, make the little knot, and see how possum is going to make itself turn out in the little good ways, and see a little personal ways. I say that little possum shall work its way out. And oh, I tell y'all, like the little trash animals, like call the raccoon the little trash panda, you know, and come down where we make the little lines and just put the little place in there. Kind of got the little work done in that, and so we all kind of got a little eyeball put in there, make it so it's going to be bright, dandy little artwork. Just sometimes, you know, these little things, they become little toys for kids, you know. It's a little interesting matter to look at them as, and get down to where we get this much in, and probably a little bit more ways to stuff a little further up, make it so we got a little bit more work done to make up the little top of the head for the little figure. I say possum, little work. I say we got a lot of place where we do things we're called to do, little life, little work. Oh, I say time to get a little pleasure out of our doings, I say. and finally come down to where we make this much. Finally got a place where we might kind of stuff the little hands in a little bit. Kind of, as we know, kind of getting too far away from the camera here. Got to turn it right. I say, leaning too far in the other direction was kind of a little bit of an issue there. And this is how little work shall come along. Make little ways to do funny little things, I say. Oh, like work for what we do. Work for times and happiness. And oh, I tell y'all something, people. Oh, the little political agendas going on right now. I mean, I tell y'all, this just horrible what's going out on there in Israel and Gaza, but we got to keep them in our prayers. There's just a lot of horrible stuff that happens in this world. So much I say we just got to look after, look out for, and oh, I tell y'all, little working ways we kind of do, the little bitty things we kind of do. And so just kind of stuff up in the little back behind the chest. I say, possum work kind of gets us a long way. Something's kind of strange here. I kind of thought it looked in the shadow like I had a shiner on my eye just because of the shadow of the cap, but had to turn that up, make it better. This is the moment. Now we're going to stuff the tail. We're going to put a little stuffing in the tail here. I tell you, all these little creatures, you know. Oh, the little neck of the woods where these little creatures all just come out of, you know. You know, all the little places they kind of turn and go, and I'd say the little woods is just a little place, the little woodland critters, oh, the places they can be. Something just kind of gives me an inspiration that might even come up with a little pattern from which to make a little stuffed porcupine sometime. Already made some badgers and skunks and got them down at that artisan market in Frankfurt. It's just places these days where business grows. I tell y'all something, people, I mean, you know, it's hard to get the best of what we have. You know, there's so much I'd like to do, but like we say, like I've been telling you in the last few videos, it doesn't come overnight. Just about nothing comes overnight. It's just one of those things like old Dar Man could tell you about how he does all his motivational videos and stuff, gets his followers and stuff. Doesn't happen overnight. Not at all. I mean, I say little works can make their way into this projects, and I say we stuff a little possum to the end, and for all things I say critters that come in different ways and different shapes and sizes. Pandas from China, koalas from Australia, I'd say. You know, there's so much more to work on, and sooner or later I might even just maybe get out my pandas that are partially sewn and maybe do another little video on how I put those together. I make them together for all the good little things in life, and I say that there's so much neat little work to do in things. Sometimes I just always expect things to get really good sold, and they don't always do so. They kind of come and go at different times and different years, and with little things we say and do, we make things just the way we see them out. So all the little things that see the celebrities do on the social media, it gets a little strange here and there, what you see, what you hear. I tell y'all that this is just a time when we're just working our ways about little things, and to how we kind of got to stuff up the possum here at the crotch and kind of get a little extra time work done into making the little thing, and I say stuff him better so it'll turn out a little better. And I say that little possums are just great little critters. They mark out our days, they make out our love lives, and I tell y'all that there's probably just a little thing or two we have left to do just to work along this thing, and then it comes down to where we just get one little piece of thread that we just took off of the pale blue, and where the denim is pale blue at the crotch, kind of like take this little place where the little stuff hole is and sew it up really closed to kind of give it a little more place and shelter and being. And you know, so much work it takes to do certain things and make it through life, but as for a little work like this, we see some things we work at till we get them better. I say that it's just a time when we're going to fall away, be a little time when oh, what up with this? Just put a little piece of thread through the needle. It's just has to be such work to do sometimes. It gets a little crazy here and there. We try to handle it better, and just to make the last little knot come the rest of the way through, we've got a little pinhole there, and this is just kind of the ways we see how little things shall just come to be. Oh, like working away at things and seeing what we have for them to do. I mean, don't know how much I expect or plan to sell in a whole year, but I mean, I tell y'all, there's just so much I make, and I say a little artwork can have a little meaning now and then. There was recently a video I watched on Darman that was just all about the little essence of art and how art is supposed to have a little expression in it. I love animals, so I kind of like to make my little art based on that. I say this is just what little work has for us, and in all that we do, I tell y'all that there's so much more to post online, so much more to share. I mean, I tell y'all that I don't know how my expenses plan to come along and get paid, but they'll make their way through somehow. Seeing little things that I do just make it so we got a little blindsided work in us. And oh, I tell y'all, just places where we kind of put all this time away and make it so we're seeing how we got the possum preacher, oh, things. And so we just kind of get along here and make it where we see the stitchery make its way down. Oh, I say, little pitiful ways, and go down and work our way through, finding little lights of glory and shiny armor, and oh, little ways that we see the good in all that we can really do. Oh, like little possums have little babies on their backs, and hopefully sooner or later we'd be able to make many more, like the one I took out to my show recently. They're just the kind of work we see in the things every day, and this is how little possum comes out. Just when I get done with him, this is the first one of these ones from this particular pattern I had ever gotten to be done with. And there's one pattern that there's also another set of scraps to this pattern that haven't even been started to be sewn on yet. So we're going to get around to that eventually. We're going to take care of that part. We're going to do a little more work to come along, and I say that this is just where I take pride and pleasure in my work. Oh, the times when we work away. See, I tell y'all, there's plenty more patterns I'm going to make one day, and can't really wait to make them. It's going to be a little interesting way to go once I finally do, and once I can finally get it done, and tell y'all that brightness is the key. Sometimes, just sometimes, if you really want to succeed at something, you have to work so hard at it, you know. When you start out with something, you never know where it's going to go. It could go anywhere, to any place, anytime. You never know where you're going to go next with anything you do. And, oh, the little work we see and have and live our lives like, I tell y'all that this is just the joy of our work. Couldn't be any better if business was better, if it was really taken off these days. Sometimes it can take several years to get to that point, you know, but it's probably about time it's getting there, because I'm coming a long way with things. I've gone so far along with all that I've produced and the world and all that it has in it, and I say that I've succeeded at a lot of things, and sometimes I say, you know, there's little failures we have in our lives, but we make it through them, and we just get past them and get on to a better life. Hopefully, I'd like to share more someday. There does come a moment when I might have to end this video a little early now. This one, we got all the work done a little faster, so probably kind of like take our time and bring it close to the end. Do want to say that if it so interests you, I'd like it if you would subscribe to this channel. I'd like it if you'd share these videos with many more people, try to get many more interested in them, and get many more to know the way and know how to do, and really how to see a little work, help the business take off, help do a little more, make things a little better in the long run, make it so that people will really be blessed to hear my words and see my art and things. I've shared it a lot in a lot of places, a lot of ways, with a lot of generations, and always happy to come on here, tell you all much more. And I'd say this might be the end to this series. Of course, it was only 3 parts long, but that was all we needed. And I hope you all will take care, stay safe, and I'll see you when I start the new series.